Hi, guys. Welcome to Head Over Heels podcast. I'm Wendy, your host. I am so beyond excited to be able to chat with the incredible Canaan Cox today.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Can you also hear the washing machine in the background?
No.
Perfect. Well, I was gonna go and close this door. I was like, man, I'm thinking it's gonna be done, but I'm gonna close it now. But it was, yeah, it's on. So there we go. I should have probably done all this before I hit start video, but here we
Oh
are.
gosh, life these days. Just
Live.
multitasking.
How are you?
Well, welcome. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for taking some time to chat with little old me.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for reaching out.
Oh my gosh, of course. I actually found you on TikTok.
Yeah, I know you did the jokes on you.
Yes, I
Enjoyed
did.
that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my first experience with you, and I've been a fan since. And your music is just so fantastic. And when I saw
Thank you.
that you had an album coming out, I was like, I'm just gonna slide into the DMs and see if I can
Shoot your shot, shoot
score
your
an
shot.
interview.
Yeah.
um, so I figured we'll sort of backtrack a little bit and
Yeah.
talk about how we ended up, or how you ended up here. I did some of my own little research just to make sure I knew what I was talking about.
I like
Um,
it.
so, when did you first realize that you wanted to be in the entertainment industry? Because I saw that you dabbled in musical theater. So what
Um,
started that?
yeah, I mean, I did get a full-on degree in musical theater, so a little bit more than dabbled.
Yeah,
Yeah, a nice $34,000 in debt dabbled. Um,
right.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll figure that out. Um, no, but I was always into entertaining. My mom and was still in a band, like just kind of plays like locally and stuff. So I was always surrounded by music. And I always like to give my family kind of credit for me being a performer because I grew up with, I have like seven sisters and a brother, and we had always just, yeah, it was always a lot of kids everywhere. And I just like, I always have my audience. I always like to say in the most nice way possible, like
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed being the center of attention.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and so I always knew I liked performing and enjoyed, there was that sense of it, obviously, of performing and, that kind of stuff. But of course, especially getting to the point, not that I'm anywhere where I want to be, but getting closer, what TikTok's doing and Instagram and you being able to reach more people just like this. You write your songs for a purpose and you perform for these reasons, and these people reach out and say, like, blah, 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 I was having a horrible day, or this song like just got me through this Monday, or, and then there's other, the deeper meaning in sad songs and stuff like that. But yeah, and that part of it just keeps you wanting to do it more. I always wanted, yeah, started there. I was like, this is fun, singing and performing. I'm loving it. People are liking it. I'm bringing, people are smiling and having a good time. And then the reasons to do it continue to grow as you get bigger, I guess. So,
Of course. Yeah, it's
yeah.
actually your song, jokes on you. Like when I first heard it, was just coming out of a relationship, like, and
Yeah.
it registered. I was just like, yeah, this is exactly what's going on in my brain right now. So it's very, very relatable in that sense. So that's sort of where you drew me in, at least.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, that song, this whole album really, I'm sure we'll get to it, but it's,
Hmm.
I had that idea for a long time ago, and actually just was an accident that it became an acronym of joy, like, and how funny it was. Like, I was sad, but I'm actually very happy being by myself. And it's like, oh, I have to name it this. Um, yeah. And so, I mean, I've definitely, yeah, been there. A lot of I think this whole album is either about the ex or my wife. Um, and I wouldn't be here without either one of those two. So thanks to everybody there. But yeah, that song for sure. Loved writing it, and the way it even just sounded, not just the words lyrically, but just the vibe of the song was perfect. It took us a lot of takes to figure it out. We had like so many versions of that song.
Well,
It,
I'm personally very happy with the final version.
us too, because yeah, we had like a reggae. It was a reggae version, but it just was more like chill, like
Mhm.
jokes time, like that kind of vibe. But then I was like, this isn't saying how I feel. I want it to be like jokes on you. Grab your skateboard and and I don't skateboard, but in my brain, I was 11 years old and I'm skateboarding down the highway, and I was like, I'm better off without everybody in this town. You know that young rebellious feel, and so we kind of did some like Avril Lavigne guitars on it. It was more like,
Mhm.
and it was not the right fit at all. So, anyways, we landed where we were supposed to.
No, that's amazing. So when did you sort of decide to switch from like musical theater slash Broadway to country?
Um, Broadway was never really the end goal. I did musical theater. Obviously, I do love performing and dancing. I love acting more than dancing and singing and doing jazz hands and pivot squares. Um, so
I was a competitive
I
dancer growing up, so I get it.
yeah, so
Yeah.
just all of it, just everything. I enjoyed it, but I loved acting more. And so I don't think necessarily there was a time where I've done like, oh, cool, enough of this. I'm going to go do this. All of it's kind of been there. For me, I love business. Like I think what we do as artists, like you need to be very good at business to be successful.
Mhm.
Because you are your own little thing. Anyways, I can go into that all later. But at the time, as a business, you know, financially, I mean, I performed at theme parks. That was the job I got out of school. So I went and performed and did that thing. But I always knew I wanted to do Nashville. Like at the time, I wrote a whole album in college and released it. No one will ever hear it because it was garbage. But it, but I started doing. I was doing all of it all at once. I was still in musical theater in college, but we had a rock band. We'd go and do concerts and stuff like that, and so I was always in all of it, but I just kind of went wherever, not where the money took me, but it was, yeah, cool, awesome. You graduate and you go here, and then I did theme parks, and then my ex got on cruise ships, so I went on cruise ships and performed on cruise ships, and then I was like, cool, I've always wanted to go to Nashville, and finally saving up, I was like, let's go. And even still, though, I mean, that's why I direct and produce and edit all my music videos, because I still have that desire. And not between you and I, the world knows, and I get it all the time. They're like, why are you not like auditioning for movies or in TV and stuff like that? And it's like, that's always kind of, that's there.
Mhm.
Can't necessarily, drop one and do the other. I mean, I know it's that. I think years ago you would have had to, but now with, you got Lainey Wilson in country music, who's
Mhm.
about to be in season 3 of Yellowstone, and then you have Nick Jonas in, Jumanji, and we got Harry Styles now in the Marvel universe. I'm sorry if that's a spoiler alert for all you Marvel fans,
Yeah.
but it's been out forever. So I don't think it's necessarily such a black and white, like you got to be in LA or you got to be in New York. So I think building as a business, keeping track of what is keeping the roof over my head and food on the table, I still love doing it. And if I can scratch the actor itch by doing music videos, I like to say it's my most expensive hobby. And doing music videos and doing fun stuff, that at least will satisfy that craving until things are going. I mean, I literally put in an audition for a commercial yesterday. Um, I
That's
didn't I didn't
awesome.
get it. I didn't get it, but yeah, it's all right.
I
But
mean, the life,
yeah.
right?
So yeah, I don't think there was ever a turning point. It just kind of followed. Again, going back to the very beginning of this conversation, it was just like, what's going to give me the most attention right now, I guess. And
Yeah. No,
who?
I mean,
Yeah,
you got it. It's what gets your name out there for sure. Like
yeah,
it's just the industry, I guess. So you moved to Nashville in 2016.
yeah.
What was your biggest, or I guess there's probably several challenges sort of moving into that and trying to get your name out there?
Um, I didn't know really anyone here. I moved here. I knew I wanted to. I met a pretty high scale manager while I was on cruise ships. Still in town, still very I don't like to say the name just because I don't want to throw anybody, under the dirt or whatever. But he saw me on cruise ships, was like, dude, you should move to Nashville. He invited me and my dad up for CMA Fest back in 2015. And he like wined and dined us, gave us passes to CMA Fest. He opened up some just, hey man, can you open this up? I've got an artist here. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. I'm going to move to Nashville and I've got this manager on my side. I'm just going to rule the world. And that's not at all what happened. It was basically like, cool, welcome to Nashville. Good luck. So I didn't know really anybody. What it was, you hear about, oh, cool, there's Broadway. I understand that, but I don't really want to be doing that too much and covers, and you're just playing wagon wheel 1,000 times and no one really knows who you are. And yeah, so I think the biggest challenge was just kind of, I think it's anyone's challenge moving to a new city, is kind of finding your own way. And it's funny to see because there were people that I would meet, and it's a lot of networking. Nashville is a lot of this. I think that's in any industry, in entertainment, just as a lot of, oh, cool, let's go grab a drink. And like, oh, cool, I got this going on. And so you do a lot of that, and you just never know. Like, you could go, perfect example, this happened, I've been here since 16. I went out to network the other day, and I spent $25 on parking. I didn't want to just stand there for hours because have a drink in my hand. So I buy a drink, but you're downtown, so it's like $13 for a Bud Light. And then you're like, all right, cool, I guess I'll get something stronger. Let's get a tequila soda. And you got $16. So I spent $75 to network. And you're like, it's not even worth it. What's going on? And so some are like really good, and you're like, that was worth everything. And there's some that are not. And so I think that was the hardest part, was like, you just have no idea. There's just 8 million ways. And when I was there, I'm saying so many things. I'm sure you can tell I'm hyperactive as hell, but
go to town.
I know where I'm going, to answer the question, but yeah, trying to find your own path and trying to network and get in there and you do that stuff. And I was reaching out to artists, like when I go to the events and be like, hey man, like, how do you get to where you're at? And this is not even anyone, you're not talking about like Thomas Rhett or anybody. You're talking about just probably somewhere where I am now, just at least to say I am an artist. And they're like, oh man, yeah. And then as an artist, then I was like, really? You can't give me anything? And you're like, a-hole's probably just trying to like keep the gates locked in their foot. And that's not it at all. Cause now I'm there and I'm getting messages from people who were just like me 5 years ago, and remembering how that felt. I at least try to give them something, but it's not even that, like, cause you just learn, and the whole industry flows with what TikTok is doing with the last 2 years with music. Like, it's just not what it used to be. Or no, not how it was done. And so, yeah, it was really challenging to get in there and just and find your own way. The thing that kind of got me out of my serving job at the time, I actually messaged they're called Whiskey Riff. They're an outlet, but they have hats and like cool logos and stuff. I messaged them about doing a trade-off of like, hey, I love your merch. I'd love to post about it, kind of being like an influencer thing. Again, no clue, just moving to town, don't know what's going on. And I had a music video coming out, and I woke up like 2 days later, and they had sent me the article, and they actually wrote an article up, and it was like, Eric Church on tour, Keith Urban's new song, Canaan Cox, hot steamy video. And I was like, okay, cool. Not exactly what I had mentioned. But that, again, nothing crazy, just an article. But at the time I was nobody. And so it turned some heads, just enough heads to get me to the next step. And so it's all swing and a miss. And so you never know. But that's kind of the hardest part, is you think you know what to do, and then you get there and that's not it at all. And you go do this, and it's like, I would have never have thought in a million years to do this, but that was the key to the next step. So it was the longest answer in the world. I'm sorry.
I like it. No, you give me whatever you want to give me. I'm sure everyone
there you go
to listen. But I also think that separates who really wants it and who doesn't, because it's like, people will just be like, oh, it's not going to be handed to me, and walk away. I've heard those stories often, people who are just like, well, they just give up on themselves. And it really separates the people who are like, no, I'm not giving up on myself, compared to the people who are just like, so kind of meh about it. So
meh about, yeah, you definitely can't be meh about it. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we would have maybe had this conversation a month ago. I mean, I'm a very open book. It's hard being an artist. And I was like, oh my God, what is going on? Dude, why am I even here? Like, should I even write music anymore? Like, what's happening? And then 2 days later, you kind of get out of it, and you have to be very persistent, very patient. Um, and it's really hard in the sense of an artist because it's so quantifiable. Your numbers are everything. You go to, I've been in chats with people, and the first thing they look at is like, oh, cool, how many monthly listeners do you have? And it's a quantity. You go to TikTok, oh, cool, like how many you doing? And it's really a crappy thing in the world, but it's like, cool, if you chose this as your thing,
mhm.
like there are parameters in which these things run. And it's like, you can either be like, I don't want to, I hate social media. I'm like, cool, you're not ever going to do this. Like, it's just not going to happen. And then there's, yeah, it's definitely you can either play the game or hate the game kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I was with TikTok. I wasn't on TikTok like pretty much at all last year. I did 2020, but it was all stupid stuff. It was all just like voiceovers and what TikTok kind of started out to be, I guess. Probably
Pandemic
still is.
TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, cool. And I had like 3 videos, have like 1 million views a piece, and it was just me doing voiceover stuff. And I was like, what is this app? and then I grabbed my guitar and sing a song, and no one gave a rat's ass. And I was like, okay, cool. And then some stuff happened, and then my manager was like, just try it. Just try to do what I'm asking to do. And I'm like, cool, all right. And then you sit here and you point around like, this is my song coming out, and here's this thing, and here's this. And the first one I do for my single As You Leave has like 600,000 views in like a week. My monthly listeners skyrocket. I was like, all right,
It takes
okay.
one video, and that's what I've learned on TikTok is it takes one video for you to go from 100 followers to 100,000 followers. Like
Yeah,
it can happen overnight. The
yeah.
change, like you can be getting like 100 views and then you have one video go viral and it completely changes you on TikTok. It's
Which is
intense.
the most frustrating thing and the best thing. The best and the worst thing about TikTok is that exact thing, is the fact, because then you go and the bar's set here now. And so then everything you put in your brain, it's hard to switch that off because you're like, awesome, now everything I do has got to be here. And then so you go through like and that was the thing with As You Leave. I posted, like, we only promoted it for like 2 weeks before the song came out. We were like, holy crap, it's like things are happening. We got pre-saves and all this kind of stuff. And then as soon as it dropped, I was like, oh God, if this many people are watching it now, like how many people are going to watch it? Like when the song is out, I can actually tell them to go listen to it instead of saving it. And then no one cared. Like TikTok just was like, and we're done with this song for you. And I was like so excited. And I was like, cool, As You Leave here. It's like 5,000 views. I'm like, all right, cool. And I'll do another one, whatever, at a better time. Yeah, 400 views. And you're like,
I know the inconsistency.
yeah. So that's the thing. That's why you as a person have to stay consistent on it, because you never know. I mean, to bring this all into, we're talking about the album, and you might have these questions later, but like 1%. I wrote that song in like 2019, and released it just all by myself. Like again, no management, no distribution, no, just me. And I released it on a website in TuneCore, and didn't do whatever. It's out there, so my fans hadn't heard it, but it wasn't getting blacklisted or anything crazy. And then cool, I was like, all right, I've done enough TikToks to promote my stuff. Let me just do some old things. And I did 1%, and the first video had like 50,000, 60,000 views. And I was like, hey, distribution, is there any way we can do something about? And then every video continued to grow. And then there has been, I think, like 6 or 7 of those videos that have gone, viral. I don't even say that, but like, close to 1 million views. And as far as that thing, like, that song that's connecting with a lot of people, as far as how many artists are doing that. And so, yeah, that's why it's actually the focus track of the album, we went and recut some of the songs and stuff. And it's weird, yeah, because it's like I wrote that song by myself and it wasn't getting any love then. And here it is 2 years later. And ta-da, now it's the focus track of an entire album. So
I do have a question. So one of your songs, When It Comes to You,
yep,
which on Spotify alone has 1.2 million, like it's amazing. That is about your wife, correct?
it is.
I've read a little bit about the story, but I would love to hear it from you.
Yeah. So
I'm a hopeless romantic, so I'm like,
all right, well, you'll love this story. She was a dancer on cruise ships, and I met her after the like horrible breakup or whatever. And so we dated for, I don't know, just like a couple months, but even then, like I knew she was it. I just knew. And I was like 25, 26 years old and cool. Like I just knew it. And then we got on different ships. We only dated for a little while, and then we were going to do long distance for a really long time. And I was just like, again, being stupid and 25, 26 years old, I was like, we should break up, even though I knew that love of my life. I was like, this isn't logistically, this isn't going to work. We're not going to make it. And broke up, and we were both just broken, and we went about and lived our lives. And I went and moved to Nashville and chased my dreams and started doing this kind of stuff. I did 2 UK tours. In 2000, I did one in 18 and acoustically, and in 19 with the band. In 18, I booked a show specifically in her town. She lives in like the back ass of nowhere, England. It's in Norwich. It's in Norfolk, technically. And so when I went over there in England, I would tell people like, oh, like, where are you playing? And I was like, London, Manchester, and Norfolk. And they're like, why are you playing over there? And I was like, oh, they're booking. And it was mostly hope to God that she would probably see a poster or like get on Facebook and see an ad that I was running for the show. And she didn't come, which I'll circle back to here in a second now. So yeah, and I mean, to be super vulnerable and just out there, like, yeah, I would have dreams where we were together and I'd wake up and just cry my eyes out. And I was like, I'd reach out, but she wouldn't have anything to do with me because I broke up with her. And I was like, so, I mean, I get it. And then in 2019, yeah, I get a phone call and hello. And I'm like, I've waited 3.5 years to hear your voice, to talk to you, because I've reached out to you. And here and that's not what we talked. I mean, I didn't say all those crazy things right in the beginning, but yeah, we just reconnected. And, she had a little boy. Now I am, the father. The dad hasn't been in the picture since birth. Okay, so go circle back on that story. So George is our son's name. He, so we're very open about what's going on. And like, hey, cool, like biological dad, and he calls me daddy or whatever. And we talked about all the time me going over there and seeing them as much as we could. And I was actually I was playing the show when he was born.
No.
I was just down the street. So like I didn't even realize it until my Instagram pops up and it was like a year ago. And it was like, you were in there. And so I freaked out. And because we were always like, okay, so I might not have been there, but I was 10 minutes down the street from when you were born, George, which is more than I can say about the other guy.
What are the odds?
Yeah. And I was like, what a cool little story. Like I was over there to actually see if you'd show up, and you were actually giving birth to what is now, I call my son, So we reconnected then. Obviously we hadn't talked in 3 years. I'm not the same person I was then. She's not the same person. We had this child involved. And that was right at the cusp of we started opening for like Matt Stell. We had some festivals coming on board, and everything was like, yeah, this is it. And then this woman just comes crashing in from my whole world. I'm like, what's happening? So all that being said, yeah, it took us a hot minute to figure out and be on the same page at the same time. But it was always, we talk, and then we get to a point where we're like, this is crazy. Like, but I don't can't do this. And then we go and hey, come back. And then we did that for about a year or so. And then I just showed up on our front doorstep I did the first time about in the summer after she'd called. I just flew over for 3 days and we just showed up, and thank God I knew where she kind of lived, about walking to the own house, and surprised her, and it was awesome. And it was like, great, this is the best. Then fast forward to 2020, and I felt I was losing her, but I was like actually ready to do the thing. So that's how When It Comes to You started. The phone call was When It Comes to You. And I wrote that song literally as she got off the phone. As soon as she hung up, I was at Frothy Monkey in Nashville. And I just wrote the whole song right then. And, but I went over there in 2020 because I did the same thing with this gesture of like, hey, I feel like I'm losing you. I don't want to. And here I had a one-way ticket. I was like, I don't have a return flight. You do with that information what you will. And she said, go home. And I was like, cool. Can I get a ride back to the train station, please? Because that sucks. So that was really awkward. And on that train ride, I wrote 1%. Because I just knew she was it. Like, it was just, the timing was wrong, and everything was just, and I messaged her and I just said, like, there's no doubt in my mind that we end up together. And that you don't have to respond to this. You don't have to tell me anything. I was like, but I know with everything that I am that we will be together whenever you're ready for that. And I left it alone. And yeah, and here we are.
It's like a Hallmark movie.
It's pretty spectacular. Hopefully somebody, aka me, will write it and star in it as well. I'm going to open up the string, everybody. Yeah. Hallmark. Can it be set at Christmas time as well?
Yeah, I'm a Hallmark movie junkie. Like, it's a serious problem for me.
I don't think it's Hallmark, but it's Lifetime, I think. There's a Reba McEntire movie called like Christmas in Tune. I don't know. It came out last year, but yours truly is a military person at the end of the movie.
See, now I'm gonna have to watch it.
Yeah, go watch it. I'll be there for like 3.5 seconds. So don't wait up. But anyways.
If you make that a movie, I will 100% watch that movie.
All right, done. I'll let you know.
I'm a romantic. It's bad. I'm just over here single as a bird. It's great.
I was as well for a very long time. So
yeah.
There you go.
So the album,
yeah,
the exciting part, comes out on August 12th.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just I was like, I literally had so many questions written down, and I was just like, you probably have your spiel, like you like to talk about the album. If you do, I know you mentioned that there's songs that you had written like years ago. Sort of where like how long theoretically has the album taken to sort of come together?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have no spiel or anything. So if whatever questions you have, go for it. But so the idea this year was it was supposed to be an EP. Just so an EP or an album, the technical version, if it's more than 6 songs, it's technically an album. We are right at 7, so technically it's an album. It's supposed to be EP, but it was just going to be the first 4, and then "Kiss Him" is a song that I've been promoting on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff. And so, I mean, if you've been following me, you've heard it. But to be honest, like, it wasn't connecting as well as other songs. I mean, and neither did "Joy" or "Wish." And again, that was kind of probably the biggest defeat, I guess. I'm putting up quotes for anyone who can't see me. This year is because "As You Leave" set the bar in the sky. And I couldn't have imagined it doing what it did with the way it got playlisted, with Bobby Bones coming back and having me on his show and putting it on the radio. And so it set the bar really high. And so everything fell short, again, quotes, fell short of that. And so it was like, bleh. So "Kiss Him" was going to complete the EP. We were going to take "As You Leave," "Joy," "Wish," and then "Kiss Him" was going to be the whopping song that just was like the focus track of this EP. And it just didn't connect as much as we thought it would. And then again, of course, now I've posted about 3 new ones, and they've gotten viral, but they've gotten way more. Before it was like 3,000, 5,000 views on TikTok, and And then I've done one and it's like, oh, cool, here's 50,000, here's 60,000. Here. I'm like, that would have been enough to make that anyways. But I have nothing to hide. It's probably just, it's all industry talk. But that is what the goal was. And then once this 1% thing kind of happened, we were like, hey, like there's got to be a way. Like this is an emotional song. People are connecting with the song. You know, Kiss Him is a fun song, but it's not necessarily, it's very from a guy's perspective of, you know, seeing an ex at a bar and kind of a thing. And it's very poppy. So we're like, there's a song that's connecting a lot with some people. I was like, we have to put this. It'd be dumb. And that song was moving most of the pre-saves for the album. And so it felt weird for it not to. So we were like, cool, let's move that over there to it. And then once we decided we were going to make that the focus track, again, logistics of industry talk, we needed to do a different version for it to get as much love as it possibly could on playlists and such. So that's why we revisited it, as well as just wanting to kind of, you know, give it a fresh, you know, breath of fresh air on it. And then as we were talking, we were like, cool, we've got all this stuff and we're having these meetings with, you know, some certain labels and publishers. And, you know, we've been talking to all the people, and we wanted to just be like, here is a lovely, like I was going to say Canaan Cox package, but with my name being that, like, whatever, guys, don't make it gross. But like, here is Canaan Cox. Like, if you want to listen to a solid 6-7 songs of who he is as an artist and what he can do, this is what he brings to the table. And so we didn't want to necessarily disclude any songs or like throw certain things that didn't make sense, but like Break It, we released at the end of last year. I wrote that with Walker Hayes and Emily Falvey, and I loved it. And it's like, it was one of my favorite songs that I've written. And just, again, didn't get a lot of love. I wasn't doing the TikTok thing. I didn't know exactly what was going on. It was just kind of me releasing music. And then now we've got some of these pre-saves rolling for the album, it's like they're going to get a little bit of new light because it's not a pre-saves for a song, it's pre-saves for the album. So it's like anyone who saved this album for a certain song, they're going to get all of it. And it's like, why not put in your best work into this thing? To just not show off, to be like, hey, cool, if you like this, here's 5 other songs. Whether they saved it for Kiss Him, whether they saved it for 1%, whether they saved it. I used all of the songs that were going to be on the album to move pre-saves. And yeah, 1% was the driving force of it. So I'm really glad that we did what we did with it to make it the album. But yeah, so I mean, it started out, again, this goes circling back to just having a plan and it just going completely haywire, and then it ending up being something else. So yeah, that was kind of how it started as an EP, became an album. 1%, yeah, kind of showed the new light. And then we're like, if we're going to do an album, let's put your best work over the last like year or so on it and call it wrap it with a Christmas bow. And here it is.
I like it.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite song?
That's like the hardest question in the world.
Or is there one that means more to you than another, or something that stands out?
It's weird just because I have my hand into so much of it. It's not, it's not like I've pulled these songs, like I've written all these songs, I've been in the studio with these songs, I've been messing around with them, so seeing them connect with people, and obviously just the stories behind each one. Obviously I love As You Leave just for the sake of the career stance of what it's done for me in this last, 7 months of my life. But I guess, see, that's the thing. 1%. That was such a because the fact, and this is not a prideful thing or like, oh, look at me, but the fact that I wrote it myself means a lot to me in the sense of just going through Nashville. Nashville, a lot of the times, is like, who you writing with, who you writing with, who you writing with, and if you're not writing with the right people, or not the right people, but just with the people, then it's like, oh, cool. Then you're not really not worth it. But you get that vibe of like, oh, you're not in the inner circle yet. So whatever you do here isn't that great until you get here. And so the fact that there is a sense of a little bit of like, oh, you like the song? I wrote it. Cool. Instead of being like, oh yeah, we had this and this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy also in the room. And oh yeah, we know him. So yeah, there's a little bit of that. But I think Wish would have to be it. Wish, we literally walked into the studio, me and Matt, my producer. It was just him and I wrote the song. And I said, I want to write the most like Canaan Cox song that there is. And I think we nailed it. It didn't blow up on TikTok or do anything crazy. But to me, I love performing it live. It's still a very much it's kind of a theater-esque song, very musical, kind of a vibe. And yeah, so I think if I had gun to my head, Wish.
Perfect. And you have album launch party coming up in Nashville?
Yeah, I'm gonna do 2. So we're doing just an album, release party, emphasis on party, on Wednesday next week, August 10th. And yeah, we're just going to kind of celebrate everything that's been going on, everything I've been talking about, just the ups and the downs. And, people have been the writers on it and people we've been talking to. And it's just like, hey, cool. Like, come have a drink. And then, there happens to be a stage. I'll sing a couple songs. And that's how we're going to approach it, rather than it being like a showcase or anything like that. Just kind of a fun time. Here's your hard work coming out. Please stream it when it comes out. And then I'm going to do an acoustic one down in Greenville. I'm from Nashville, North Carolina, so that's not too far. I've been playing in that area for a while. There's some good buddies of mine, and Greenville's a hot spot for when I go play. And I was like, man, I'd just love to do something. Every time I go down there, it's always like busy and packed. And I was like, just me and my guitar, make it a cool thing. Again, more of a hangout, talk about the songs kind of a thing. And then plus my mom's going to the lake on the next day. So I was like, we're going to go to the lake the next day, celebrate, just crank up the album all day on the boat.
That sounds like so much fun. I'm in another country. Otherwise, I would be there.
Where are you?
I'm in Canada.
Oh, okay. All right. I was
Yeah.
say, I was like,
Yeah.
Still another country. Yeah. I was expecting like.
Yeah, no. I
was
was just in the US though, not back in June. I actually broke 2 of my fingers in North Carolina at a truck stop bathroom just in June. So that's my North.
Just like fall down, or you
locked
slam in
in.
the door?
I got locked in the bathroom at the
not a stall, but
no,
like a bathroom.
Yeah, at a truck stop on the side of the highway. So I drove from Toronto to Florida for like a road trip, and I got locked in like random side of the highway, and like nobody else was there. And I was stuck in there for about half an hour before. I didn't have my phone because I was like, didn't want to bring my phone into the gross bathroom.
Yeah.
And I had no choice but to bust the door handle off. And I broke 2 fingers and then ended up at a North Carolina hospital that night. Thank God for medical insurance.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. And then drove to Florida.
Is your whole hand broken? Oh my gosh.
So that's my North Carolina experience.
Well, come back. It's much better, I promise.
I enjoyed South Carolina. I've done Charleston, South Carolina, but
okay, yeah.
That's it.
Okay. All right.
So you can pre-save this on like pretty much any of the audio streaming platforms, or is it only specific ones? Any of them?
Nope. Apple. I mean, it's most. I think YouTube Music doesn't have a pre-save function, but other than that, like even the odd, like not odd ones, but like Deezer and Tidal and the ones that are a little less, lively than Spotify, Apple, Amazon, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you can pre-save it. And just FYI, pre-save has nothing to do with money. Pre-save, I literally was talking to my wife and she was like, I don't even have your album pre-saved. And I was like, what are you talking? Like, you don't understand the campaign that I've been going through from June to now to try to get 5,000 pre-saves to release this album. And she's like, I thought it was just like, it's like your money if I pre-saved it, like, because she's from England or whatever. And we're still going through the green card process. So all of our money's in the same pot right now because she just can't work. And she's like, I just don't want to spend your money. It was like, if I pre-save, I was like, wait, you think it's so I actually went on Instagram and TikTok and did videos of like what a pre-save meant. So all of you listening, you're like, oh, this guy just wants his 99 cents. Not that at all. It will just pre-save it to your digital streaming platform. And that way, when it's out, it'll just either pop up or let you know that it's out or just automatically drop it into your library. So yes, please go and freely pre-save this.
I have already done so. So
thank you.
You're very welcome. And I will push. I live in it's a sort of a cottage country town.
That's awesome.
So, and I own a dance studio. So I'm like, I'm just gonna push and try and build your
Do it.
Canadian crowd out here in
Do it.
Ontario. And we can follow you on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the
Yeah.
things.
All the things.
You're very entertaining on TikTok. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
And that's how I
Thanks.
found you. I won't take up any more of your time. I appreciate you spending the time to chat and sharing your stories and the stories behind your music and your career. I'm sure this will get some views. I know it will get some views.
Welcome.
I will send you a link to this as well so you can share it. But thank you so much and good luck next week.
Thank you.
I'll be rooting for you, and I will definitely share it on my platforms as well as much as I can, because I think we're friends now. So
yeah, we're friends. Totally. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and good luck next week.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.